In this lecture, let us discuss about web crawlers. So web crawlers, they are essential to the internet as they help search engines index web pages so that they can be found in search results. And crawlers, they also help with data collection as they can traverse the web and they can gather data from many sources. So if you take malicious activities, so these web crawlers they can even be used to monitor website changes as well as detect malicious activities. Like it can be either malware and phishing attacks, or and these web crawlers they can be used to discover new content or identify trends and patterns in large data sets. So search engines crawlers, they are most common type of web crawler as they are used to discover new web pages, and after finding the web pages they'll index them and make them available in search results. So these crawlers they use various algorithms in order to determine which websites to crawl and how frequently to crawl them and how many pages to index. So in order to perform all these tasks they'll be using various algorithms. So this mainly helps the search engines provide most accurate and relevant results to their users. If you take an example, business, if you take business, businesses they might use these data crawlers to monitor their competitor prices. So based on that, they'll adjust their own accordingly. And web crawlers, as I said you before, they are used to detect malicious activities. For example, they can detect phishing attempts by looking for certain keywords or patterns. And they can also detect malware by scanning websites for malicious code. This is the architecture of web crawler. Here, the architecture of web crawler, it is responsible for defining how the crawler functions and what it does and how it interacts with the website it visits. So, what are the tasks performed by this web crawler? It is mainly responsible for defining how the crawler functions, how the crawler functions, what it does, what the crawler does. And it even interacts with the it helps us to know how it interacts with the websites it visits. So this architecture it tells us how these web crawlers interact with the website it visit. So here if you take this web crawler, you can see there are three main components: a front end, back end, and storage system. So here, uh, front end is nothing but it's a user interface where the user inputs the initial URL and specifies what information they want to extract. So what is front end? Front end is nothing but it is a user interface. So here there are total three main components: front end, back end, and storage system. So in this front end, the user front end is nothing but the user interface where the user inputs the URL, or where user enters the URL and specifies the information they want to extract. So that is front end. Whereas coming to the back end, it is mainly responsible for performing actual web crawling process, and it consists of multiple modules like URL scheduler. So here scheduler and downloader and parser. So backend is responsible for actual web crawling process. So take backend. This is responsible for web crawling process. And this backend consists of multiple modules like URLs, like URL scheduler, downloader, and parser. So URL scheduler, what is this? It is responsible for keeping track of which URLs have been visited. Say there are multiple URLs like this. So this scheduler, it will keep track of the URLs that have been visited, and it will decide which URL should be visited next. So based on this history, it will help, it will decide which URLs should be visited next. So that is the responsibility of this scheduler. It will keep track of all these URLs. And downloader. So here you can see multi-threaded downloader. So this downloader retrieves HTML content of web pages and parses it to the parser. So what it will do, it will download HTML content of these web pages. HTML content of web pages. And it will pass to parser. So the parser then extracts the relevant information and stores it in the storage system. So what the parser does here, it will extract the relevant information and it will store that information in the storage system. So this storage system, it is again responsible for keeping track of information that it has been extracted by the parser. So here in this diagram, parser was not mentioned anywhere, but you need to assume that in between these two, there will be parser, information which is passed to the parser, and here the storage system, it will keep track of all the information that has been extracted by this parser. And it will even organize it in a way that is easily accessible and searchable. So here the information which is gathered from the parser is organized in such a way that it will be easy to access and search. So this can be considered as a database or a file system. So a well-designed web crawler architecture is very important for the success of any web crawling project. So it mainly determines how the web crawler operates, or what information it can extract, and how that information can be stored and retrieved.